Okay, so hello and welcome back. So in this video we want to actually talk about a couple more exercises related to the method of elimination. So let's say that you have, for example, something like a pair of linear equations, for example, something like x plus y is equal to 5 and 2x minus 3y is equal to 4. We want to solve this pair of linear equations using the method of elimination. Elimination. Okay. So using the method of elimination, what you want to do is basically you want to somehow basically get rid of either your x or your y, so that you're left with one variable, and then you can solve the equation. And the way that you do that is basically by for example, let's say that if I call this equation number 1 and this equation number 2, I can multiply this equation number 1 by a factor of 2, and then here I will get a 2x, right? I'll get a 2x over here and 2y and 10 and so on and so forth. I don't care about the rest of the terms, but I'll get a 2x over here, and I have a 2x over here and a 2x over here. So then 2x and 2x, then if I subtract this equation number 2 from this equation number 1, that would be, for example, this would be a 2x, and subtract this from here, that would be 2x minus 2x is equal to 0. So then my x's will basically amount to 0, and then I'll be left with basically a y and some constants over here, and then that way I'll be able to solve the equation. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to multiply equation number 1 by 2. Okay, so equation number 1 multiplied by 2 would be 2x plus 2y is equal to 10. And of course, when you multiply, you have to multiply everything, not just your x or just your y. And this I'm going to call equation number 3. And then this equation number 2, I can write it as it was. 2x minus 3y is equal to 4. This was equation number 2. And now I have this system of equations. Now I can subtract equation number 2 from equation number 3. Okay. So in order to subtract, what you need to do is that you take the algebraic opposite of these terms and then add them together, meaning that, for example, if you have 2x and if you add it to the 2x over here, you'll get a 4x. But if you take the algebraic opposite of this 2x over here, that would be negative 2x. And then if you add it to this 2x over here, you will get a 0 over here. So I take the algebraic opposite of these terms and then add them together. I then add them together, so these two will cancel out, amount to 0. Then 2y plus 3y is equal to 5y is equal to 10 minus 4, which is equal to 6. So basically your y is going to be equal to 6/5. Your y is going to be equal to 6/5. And then you can use this y in any of these equations, whichever one is easier. For example, x plus y is equal to 5. Number 1, x plus y is equal to 5, and your y is equal to 6/5 is equal to 5. So your x is equal to 5 minus 6/5, which is equal to you can write this as 25/5 5 is 25 fifths minus 6 fifths is equal to 19 fifths. So your x is going to be equal to, your x is equal to 19 fifths. And that's basically your x and y over here. So let me see if I have done this right. 3.4, 19 fifths and 6 fifths, right? Okay, so let's do another one of these. So let's say that you have 3x plus 4y is equal to 10. You have 3x plus 4y is equal to 10. And then you have 2x minus 2y. 2x minus 2y is equal to 2. Let me open my window. Okay, so to solve this equation, to solve this pair of linear equations, what you can do, you see that over here, basically two things you can do. So if I take this as equation number 1, and if I take this as equation number 2, I can multiply 2 by a factor of 2 basically. And if I multiply this by a factor of 2, I would get 1 would remain the same. So 3x plus 4y is equal to 10. And multiply this by a factor of 2, I get 4x minus 4y is equal to 2 times 2 is equal to 4. Okay. And then I can simply add them together. If I add them together, these two will cancel out. And please note that I did not take the algebraic opposite of, for example, these terms down here. I did simply add them together because I didn't really have to subtract. Just adding them was enough, and then by adding them, the two basic terms simply cancelled out. And then you have 7x is equal to 14 and x is equal to 2. Okay, so that way you can solve this problem. And then you can use this x in any of these equations to get your y is equal to something, right? So this way you can solve the problem. Of course, this is the easier way. You would solve the problem this way. Or what you can do is that if you want to eliminate your x's rather than eliminating your y's, what you can do is that you can multiply equation number 1. You can multiply equation number 1 by a factor of 2. Okay, and equation number 2 by a factor of 3. So what that means is that you have multiplied your equation number 1 by the coefficient of x basically in the other equation, and then you have multiplied equation number 1 by the coefficient of, I'm sorry, I guess I got confused there. So what that means is that you have multiplied equation number 1 by the coefficient of x in the other equation, okay, and basically then you multiply the equation number 2 by the coefficient of x in the other equation, which is equation number 1. And that way basically the coefficient of both of these x's will be 6, meaning that 2x times 3 is equal to 6 and 3x times 2 is equal to 6, and then you will be able to cancel them out. Okay, so you can do that this way, meaning that equation number 1 multiplied by a factor of 2, you will get 6x plus 8y is equal to 20, and then 6x by a factor of 3, so negative 6y is equal to 6. Okay, so now I want to cancel these two out, so I have to subtract this equation from this upper equation, this equation up here. So I take the algebraic opposite of these terms, and then add them together. Okay, so 8 plus 6 is equal to 14y is equal to 20 minus 6, which is equal to 14. So y is equal to 1. Okay, and if I use y in any of these equations over here, for example, let's say that I take, for example, equation number 1. So 3x plus 4 times y, which is 1, is equal to 10. So 3x is plus 4 is equal to 10. 3x is equal to 10 minus 4, which is equal to 6. So x is equal to 6/3, which is equal to 2, which is the same value of x that we got here. Okay, so that way basically you can solve this kind of problem. And basically the name is pretty self-descriptive. Descriptive. Is it a word? I don't know. Self-descriptive, I suppose. Self-descriptive. I seem to have heard this. Self-descriptive. Yeah, it seems to be. Of course, it's not wrong. Okay. So the name is self-descriptive, meaning that you're eliminating either your x or your y, and then based on that you will be left with one variable, and then you do the rest of the work there. Okay. Let's do one more of these. For example, 3x minus 5y is equal to, or minus 5y minus 4 is equal to 0, and 9x is equal to 2y plus 7. Okay, so first you need to write them in a, probably the best way to do that is just write both of them in general form. And this is already written in general form, so you can write this as 3x minus 5y minus 4 is equal to 0, and then 9x minus 2y minus 7 is equal to 0. So now both of them are in general form, and you see that these two changed signs as I took them to the other side of the equation. So now if I call this, for example, equation number 1 and 2, so if I multiply equation number 1 multiplied by a factor of 3, then I will have a 9x over here. So 9x minus 15y minus negative 12 is equal to 0. And then I call this, for example, 3. And then I write 2 as it was. So 9x minus 2y minus 7 is equal to 0. This is basically equation number 2. Okay. So now I take the algebraic opposite of these terms and then add these two equations together. 0, negative 15y plus 2y is negative 13y, and this is negative 12 plus 7, which is equal to negative 5 is equal to 0. So negative 13y is equal to 5. So y is equal to 5 over negative 13. That's basically the value of your y. And then you can use this in any of these equations in order to get to your x. For example, I don't know, probably, for example, this one over here. Equation, for example, number 2. For example, number 2, 9x minus 2 times y, which is 5 over negative 13. Okay, 5 over negative 13 minus 7 is equal to 0. And then 9x minus plus 10/13 minus 7 is equal to 0. So 9x is equal to, let me actually do the calculation right here. So 9x, and this is 13. 10 minus 13 times 7 is equal to 70, 21, 91 is equal to 0. So you have okay, so negative 91 minus 10 is equal to negative 81. Negative 81 over 13 over 13, and this is 9x is equal to 0, so 9x is equal to 81/13. So x is equal to 81/13 divided by 9, which is equal to 81/13 over times 1/9. So 9 and 9 you can cancel out, so 9/13 is the value of x. X is equal to 9/13. Okay, so basically that is number 3. Okay, so basically that is that. Now we have a couple more examples over here. Let's do them as well. A couple of word problems. We will do these word problems and then we will move on to the rest of the things. And find the solutions of these elimination. Okay, so we have a fraction. Let's call it, for example, x to y. Okay, and if we add 1 to the numerator and subtract 1 from the denominator, if we add 1 to numerator and subtract 1 from denominator, the fraction reduces to 1. The fraction reduces to 1. Okay, and then it becomes 1/2. It becomes 1/2 if we only add 1 to the denominator. If you add 1 to denominator. Okay, so now you want to find out what this fraction is. So if I take my fraction as x to y, here it says that if I add 1 to the numerator, so x plus 1, and subtract 1 from the denominator, so y minus 1, the fraction becomes 1. Okay, and then if I add 1 to the denominator, so x over y plus 1, add 1 to the denominator, it becomes 1/2. So now what is this thing? What is this fraction? So what this means is that x, if you cross multiply here, x plus 1 is equal to y minus 1. And so you can rewrite this as x minus y, and 1 comes to the other side, becomes a positive 1, so plus 2 is equal to 0. X minus 1 plus 2 is equal to 0. I call this equation number 1. And here you can again cross multiply. You get 2x is equal to y plus 1. So then 2x minus y minus 1 minus y minus 1 is equal to 0. And that's equation number 2. So I write it as x minus y plus 2 is equal to 0. And 2x minus y minus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, so that is basically this, basically number 1 and 2. And now if we manage to solve this equation, these two equations, then we will be able to get to the fraction. Okay, so if I multiply equation number 2 by a negative 1, what I'll get is equation number 2 multiplied by a negative 1. So I'll get x minus y plus 2 doesn't change. Equation number 1 does not change. And equation number 2 multiplied by a negative 1, what you will get is negative 2x plus y plus 1 is equal to 0. And that's equation number 2. Now if I add these two equations together, negative y and positive y, they just simply cancel out, and x minus 2x is negative x, and 2 plus 1 is equal to 3 is equal to 0. So that means that negative x is equal to negative 3 and x is equal to 3 here. Okay, x is equal to 3. Now I can take any of these equations, for example 1, and set x is equal to 3 in this equation. So 3 minus y plus 2 is equal to 0, and negative y 3 plus 2 is equal to 5 is equal to 0. Negative y is equal to negative 5, so y is equal to 5. So then if you have the fraction over here, so that the fraction is 3 to 5, right? So 3 to 5, x is equal to 3, y is equal to 5. If I add 1 to the numerator, so add 1 to the numerator and subtract 1 from the denominator, this is 1, which is correct. Again, 3/5, if I add 1 to the denominator, meaning that 3 over 6, that's equal to 1/2, which is again correct. Okay, so that's basically how you solve this kind of problem. Okay, so the next question that we have is 5 years ago, John was thrice as old as Mary. John was thrice as old as Mary. And 10 years later, or basically you could say in 10 years time, in 10 years time, John will be twice as old as Mary. Okay, find their current ages. So we have John's current age. John's current age, I take it as x, and Mary's current age, I take it as y. Okay. Now 5 years ago, John was thrice as old as Mary. So 5 years ago, John was, if his current age is x, so 5 years ago he was x minus 5 years old, right? And he was thrice as old as Mary. So it was basically 3 times as old as Mary, 3 times the age of Mary. Now the age of Mary 5 years ago was of course y minus 5. Because right now Mary is y years old, okay? And in 10 years time, John will be twice as old as Mary. So in 10 years time, John is going to be x plus 10 years old, because 10 years will have passed. And then he will be twice as old as Mary. So twice as old as Mary, 2 times the age of Mary in 10 years. The age of Mary in 10 years is going to be y plus 10. So you can simplify these equations as, for example, x minus 5 is equal to 3y minus 15, or you can write this as x minus 3y, and then 15 minus 5 is equal to 10, plus 10 is equal to 0. I call this equation number 1. And over here what I have is x plus 10 is equal to 2y plus 20. So that means that x minus 2y and negative 20 coming to the other side becomes negative 20 plus 10 is negative 10 is equal to 0, and I call this equation number 2. Okay, now I have these two equations, x minus 3y plus 10 is equal to 0 and x minus 2y minus 10 is equal to 0. Call this number 1, number 2. So now if you want to use the method of elimination to solve these two problems, what you can do is that basically you can take x, basically you can simply subtract 2 from 1, or you can write 1 minus 2. Subtract 2 from 1, and that will give you, basically if you want to do that, so subtract 2 from 1, or 1 minus 2. So if you want to do that, you take the algebraic opposite of these terms and then add these together. So this becomes 0. Negative 3y plus 2y is equal to negative y, and oh, there is something wrong here. There is something wrong here. I think we have made a mistake somewhere, or so we had 5 years ago John was thrice as old as Mary. Thrice as old as, so x minus 5 is equal to 3y times and negative 15. So x minus 3y and then 15 minus 5 is equal to 10 plus 10 is equal to 0. This is right. Okay, and this over here 10 years from now is twice as old as Mary. So x plus 10 is equal to 2 times y plus 10. So x plus 10 is equal to 2y plus 20. So x minus 2y, and then negative 20 plus 10 is equal to negative 10. So x minus 2y minus 10 is equal to 0. The equations seem to be right. And here I'm getting, so here you have basically negative 3y plus 2y is equal to negative y and oh, this is 20. Okay, 10 plus 10 is equal to 20 is equal to 0. Negative y is equal to negative 20, so y is equal to 20. So that's Mary's current age. And you can use this y in any of these equations to find x. So for example, you can use 1 and write it as x minus 3 times 20 plus 10 is equal to 0. So x minus 60 plus 10 is equal to 0. So negative 60 plus 10, x minus 50 is equal to 0. So x is equal to 50. So that means that John is 50 years old, Mary is 20 years old. Now, 50 and 20. 50 and 20. Okay, so now 5 years ago, John was 45 years old and Mary was 15 years old. So thrice as old. 3 times 15 is equal to 45. And 10 years from now, John is going to be 60 and Mary is going to be 30. So that's twice as old. 2 times 30 is equal to 60. Okay. Okay, so that's basically another question here. the next question that we have is okay, let me take a few minutes rest. Okay, so the next question that we have is that the sum of the digits of a two-digit number is nine basically. The sum of the digits of a two-digit number is 9. So if I take my number as, for example, this number over here, x and y, I have these two digits over here. The sum of these two digits is 9. Okay, and then the next piece of information that I have is 9 times this number. So 9 times this number, meaning that so the number itself, if you want to write the value of the number, I mean, if I take the number as basically these two place values, in this place value, basically I have an x, this is the ones place value, this is the tens place value, and in the tens place value I have an x, in the ones place value I have a y. So I can basically take x and y individually and add them together and get a number. But when we say 9 times this number, the value of this number is going to be basically 10 times x plus 1 times y. 1 times y. That's the value of this number, because this is 10 times x plus 1 times y, because this is the tens place value, and this is the ones place value. It's just like, for example, you have some number 23, right? So you have two digits over here. This is the ones place value, and this is the tens place value. If you add the two digits of this number together, you can take 2 and 3 individually and add them together, you'd get a 5. But then the value of this number is going to be 2 times 10 plus 3 times 1, which is equal to 20 plus 3, which is equal to 23. Okay, so that's basically why I write it this way. So 10 times x plus 1 times y, and I can write it as 10x plus y. Okay, so I write this as 10x plus y, 10x plus y. So this is the number, and we say that 9 times this number, so 9 times this number is twice the number obtained by reversing the order of the digits. Is basically twice the number obtained by reversing the order of the digits. Now, if you take this number and basically reverse the order of the digits, you would get basically yx, right? And the value of the number becomes 10 times y plus 1 times x, which is 10y plus x. So that is 10y plus x. Okay, so now these are the two equations that I have about this number. So let me multiply these a little bit. So 9 times 10 is equal to 90x plus 9y is equal to 20y plus 2x. So 90x minus 2x plus 9y minus 20y is equal to 0, and then 90x minus 2x is equal to 88x. 9y minus 20y is equal to minus 11y is equal to 0. I call this equation number 1, and I call this equation number 2, and then I can write these two equations over here. X plus y is equal to 9, number 1, and 88x minus 11y is equal to 0, equation number 2. Now you have two linear equations, you can solve them basically. So if I multiply equation number 1 and I want to use the method of elimination, So if I multiply equation number 1 by a factor of 88, for example, I'll get an 88x over here, and then I can cancel them out. So then this becomes basically 88x plus 88y, and multiplying everything by 88 is equal to 9 times 88. So 88 times 9 is equal to 9 times 72, 72, 79, 792, 792, and then I have 88x minus 11y is equal to 0. Okay, and then since I want to basically cancel these out, I take the algebraic opposite of these terms and then add these two equations together. So these two will cancel out, and then you have 88x plus 11x, which is equal to 99, which is equal to 88 plus 11 is equal to 99y, is equal to 792. Now 792 is divided by 99 is, I suppose, 8 times. Divide this by 792 by 99. So this is divisible by 11 and also divisible by 9. So this is the same thing as 9 times 11. And 792 is, I don't know, the same thing as 792 divided by 2. You'll get 350, and then this is 45, 46. So you will have a 6 over here, you will have a 9 over here, 3 9 is 6, and then 2 times 150, 45, 48, that's 198, and that is 2 times, I don't know, 50, 40, 45 plus 4 is equal to 49, that's 99, 2 times 99, and that's 9 times 11. Okay, so we can write this as 2 cube times 99. Okay, so then 99 and 9 times 11 will cancel out, and you're left with 8 over here. So that means that y is equal to 792 divided by 99, which is equal to 8. That's the value of y. Okay, and then what you will have here is basically you can use any of these equations to find x. So equation number 1, for example, x plus y is equal to 8 is equal to 9, so x is equal to 1. So your x is equal to 1 and your y is equal to 8. That means that your number is equal to 18. Your number is equal to 18. So the sum of the two digits of the number is already 1 plus 8 is equal to 9. That's correct. And then if you basically 9 times, if I take 9 times the number 18, 18 times 9, 18 times 10 would be 180, and then 1 times 18 is equal to 18. So if I subtract 18 from here, I'll get 7, 10, 2, and 162. So 18 times 9 is equal to 162, right? Meaning that 9 times 10 is equal to 90, and 9 times 8 is equal to 72, that's 162. So 9 times the number is equal to 162. That's supposed to be equal to 2 times the value of the number if you reverse the order of the digits. So 81 times 2 is equal to 162. 162, which is correct. Okay, so that's basically how you would solve this problem. Basically the important part, the tricky part over here is dealing with the value of the number and coming up with the equations. Otherwise, solving the pair of equations is not that hard. And moreover, I might actually I will in the near future, I will do some courses dealing with numbers and divisibility and that kind of thing. So if you're interested in numbers, then you will be able to get a lot of interesting information about numbers and that kind of thing in those courses. But for now, I need to go all the way up to class 12, all the way up to calculus, and then once I get there, most probably I will go back to the very basics of numbers and start from there and do a couple of courses probably there as well. Okay, so we have another question over here. Actually, I have two more questions here. And let me see what those questions are. Okay, so this is another example, an interesting example actually. So you have $2,000 in cash, in total, all in $50 and $100 bills, and the total number of bills that you have is basically 25. So you want to find basically the number of $50 bills and $100 bills. So if I take the number of $50 bills as X, for example, and the number of $100 bills as Y, for example, I know that basically I have a number of those bills, meaning that I have basically an X number of $50 bills, and each of those bills has a value of $50, so that becomes 50X. The value of those number of basically bills is 50X, and I have a Y number of $100 bills, and the value of each of them is 100. So the value of all of them in total would be 100Y, and that's equal to $2,000. Okay, and then I know that I have 25 bills in total. So that means that X plus Y, which is the number of the $50 bills and $100 bills, is 25. So now if you somehow manage to solve this problem, then you will be able to find out how many $50 bills you have and how many $100 bills you have. But what you can do in order to make this a little bit easier, you can divide everything by 10, for example, or even by 50. If you divide by 50, you will get this equation becomes X plus 2Y is equal to 2,000 divided by 50 is equal to, 2,000 divided by 50 is equal to 200 divided by 5, which is equal to 4 times 5 is equal to 40. Okay, so that's 40. And then the other equation remains as is, X plus Y is equal to 25. Now, in order to solve this equation by the method of elimination, all you need to do, take the algebraic opposite of these terms and then add them together. So 2y minus y is equal to y is equal to 40 minus 25, which is equal to 15. Okay, and then you can take any of these equations, for example, I don't know, number 1 and number 2, and you have basically X plus 2 times y is equal to 40. So x is equal to 40 minus 30. 2 times 15 is equal to 30. So x is equal to 10. So that means that you have 10 $50 bills, 10 into $50, and then you have $1,500 bills. So 15 into $100, which is equal to $500 plus $1,500, which is equal to $2,000, which is basically that number over there. Okay, so that's that. The next question is, so basically the situation that we have here is that you have a library and they lend books, and for the book that you borrow, you have to pay some money. It's not a subscription kind of thing. It's based on the number of books that you borrow. So the library has some sort of a fixed charge and a per day charge. So that the fixed charge for the first 3 days, actually, for the first 3 days, okay, and a per day charge for the basically if you keep the book for 3 days, then you will end up paying only the fixed charge, and then above 3 days you're going to pay the per day charge as well. So the total charge basically, would be equal to fixed charge and plus the per day charge, depending on the number of days that you keep the book. Okay, so now basically John went to this library and paid $27 for one book, and kept it for 7 days. And now basically Susan went to the same library at the same rate and the same situation. He paid $21 for the book she kept for 5 days. For the same number of books, for one book, and she kept the book for 5 days. Okay. Now you want to find out what is this fixed charge on these books and the per day charge for these books basically in this library. So the way that you can solve this problem is that your fixed charge is going to be some, let's give it some variable, for example x, and the per day charge is going to be basically let's give it some variable y, for example. So in the case of this, basically John, when he went to the library, he paid $27, and he kept the book for 7 days. That means that he paid the fixed charge as x, and basically for each additional day above 3 days, he had basically 4 of those, four additional days. So 4 times y, right? So he had 4 additional days, so 4 times y, and then the fixed charge x, and then he paid $27 in total. Now Susan went to the same library. He paid $21 for the same number of books, and he kept the book for 5 days. So that means that 3 days over here, and then 2 days over here. That's basically 5 days. So now what that means is that you have x plus 4y is equal to 27, and x plus 2y is equal to 21. That's the system of equations that you can solve in order to get to x and y. Now, you can take the algebraic opposite of all of these numbers and add these equations together. You get 4y minus 2y is equal to 2y is equal to 27 minus 21 is equal to 6. So y is equal to 30. 6 divided by 2. Now if you put y in any of these equations, for example, I don't know, x plus 4y is equal to 27, and x plus 4 times 3 is equal to 27, and x plus 12 is equal to 27, and x is equal to 27 minus 12, which is equal to 15. So that means that your x is equal to 15, y is equal to 30. Is equal to 15, y is equal to 30. So what that means is that, for example, John went to the library. He kept the book for 7 days, right? So that means that he had a charge of a fixed charge of $15, and 4 days extra charges. So 4 times 3 is equal to $12. So that's $27, which he paid over here. And basically Susan went to the same library. She borrowed one book, and she kept it for 5 days. That means that 3 days of fixed charges, which is basically $15, and 2 days of extra charges. So 2 times 3 is equal to 6. So that's equal to $21. And that's basically what she paid over there. Okay, so that's basically that. In the next video, we will do a couple of examples related to the cross multiplication method that we talked about, and then we will get to the rest of the things that we have here. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.